Hello and welcome to Talk Solent on a week when, of course, there's been an historic change to Britain's political landscape with the election of Jeremy Corbyn as leader of the Labour Party. I'm Chris Ryder and I'm pretty sure that the election is a dream come true for one of my guests today. Sean Hoyle is an ardent political campaigner in the Portsmouth area who said at the time of the general election that he believed all parties were out of touch and simply out for themselves. Well, I'm banking on there being much more to him than just left-wing politics. And I hope so, because we're not focusing exclusively on politics today. My other guest is a lady who's no stranger to this programme. She's Elizabeth Patterson, who's a grandmother of this parish and who isn't afraid to stand up for her own views. And we'll be finding out just what they are as we go along. Both of you, welcome. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Today, obviously, we're going to start with the election of Jeremy Corbyn, because this was a great surprise to many people, not a surprise to lots of others, but perhaps some of the incidents that have been happening in the last few days have been slightly surprising. Sean, as an ardent trade union guy, you must be over the moon, really, that you've now got a Labour leader called Jeremy Corbyn.
Well, Chris, what we've ended up with someone credible. For a long time now, the Labour Party have elected a Tory light style of people, probably starting with Tony Blair and followed on from there, where being the leader of the Labour Party was no longer being the leader of any type of opposition. It was just, well, we've never opposed any of the cuts. And all they thought that they would do going forward was, we'll do what the Tories are doing and then wiggle a bit so it's not quite as bad and people will vote for us. So Jeremy coming in, somebody that his whole career has fought for socialist values and cares about the people passionately, yeah, it's a great result.
What about you, Elizabeth? What do you think?
Well, I actually think the rest of the Labour Party are going to mould him a bit. He's started Prime Minister's Question Time today quite gently and quite well, I think. But I think what will happen to him, he'll suddenly confront these real issues in a more responsible way. And I think, actually, that he'll probably mould a little bit. And if he doesn't, I think the others will give him such a rough time that there'll be a big split, and then that'll be an advantage to...
You don't agree with that, do you, Sean, at all?
It's not about moulding Jeremy Corbyn. In fact, Jeremy has to mould the Labour Party. I mean, I listened to John Ferret, the local leader of the Labour group in Portsmouth, talk complete rubbish about Jeremy during the election was on. Because they sound to me as if they're more worried about their own careers than the actual people they're supposed to be representing. People like John McDonnell, people like Jeremy Corbyn, they passionately care about the people of this country. And it isn't about moulding them to bring them to an area where they're more, the media would be more comfortable with them. It's for them to actually say to politicians, you've been elected to do the job for the people of this country, to protect them.
You've kicked off with a disagreement, but both of you are talking as though you're absolutely convinced that he's going to stay the course, that Jeremy Corbyn will still be the leader of the opposition when it comes around to the next election. Are you both convinced of that?
Well, I think he'll begin to listen. I think he's not only got to listen to the people that want more money for nothing, but he's got to listen to his fellow MPs around him. And I actually think that... OK, there are a lot of very tragic cases, and the media of this country, they will get hold of something and they'll blow it out of all proportion. But obviously we borrow a lot of money, and I think a lot of people quite happy with that. They don't care. And I think there are an awful lot of things to be put right.
Well, here's the show where we can try and get it into some sort of proportion.
I think lots of things to be put right.
We borrow money. At the end of World War II, this country had debt 120% to GDP. That was the debt in the World War II. And yet we built the future, social housing, we built the welfare state. We proved that you can put people to work, even with high debt, and you have a long-term plan to pay that off. Right,
before we get too deeply into that particular one, let's shoot forward 70 years, stick with the last couple of days. Stick with Jeremy Corbyn at the moment, before we go into the history of it all.
Okay.
He's not had a very good start to it all, has he?
Why?
I think. Why? Because he's Jeremy Corbyn, I guess.
Because he's a man of principle that is actually doing what he said he's going to do.
Well, he hasn't been very helpful or savvy with his dealings with the media, for a start. Now, I know you think the media are to blame for everything.
I actually admire him for that.
Do you?
Just...
Why?
Well, he walked me, don't talk to me now, because... Yeah. I mean, I could say something stupid here today, and everything I do say is stupid. But what I'm just saying is, you can get tricked into stuff. And I think that he probably is more savvy than you think.
But I think when you are the leader of the opposition party, you have to be able to answer any question more or less anywhere at any time. And I think that's a lesson that he's not only going to have to learn, but he's probably already starting to learn.
They're loaded. These questions, this isn't a friendly media that are trying to be open with Jeremy and say, look, we want to work with you, tell us your ideas. This is a media that are just waiting. They're waiting to catch him out, waiting to trip him up.
They had specific questions and he wouldn't deal with them. But I noticed from the television yesterday that he did deal with those questions in the street later on, almost as though somebody had a word in his ear.
He probably had time to really think it through.
Yeah.
He's probably doing it all by the seat of his pants at the moment. You know, I actually, you know, and when you think of it, the media, like blooming spray coming over you, sailing along into windward, and every now and again you get a dollop down your neck, and that's what he's having to deal with.
Well, you didn't think that he got off to a very bad start.
No,
Don't you think that not singing the national anthem was getting off to a bad start?
Do you know the words to it?
Yes.
Every word?
The first verse, yes.
Right, so you couldn't sing the national anthem, you could do one verse.
Well, that's all he was being asked to do,
no,
I think.
I don't know. But that's probably better than most people. And there's a line in there that actually goes on about the rebellious Scots and doing them in. You know, I imagine a lot of Scottish
not
people,
in verse 1 there isn't.
No, it's in the final verse actually. But
you know it very well then.
no, I checked it. I don't know it very well. And would I say? I mean, my own personal view.
I thought you'd just be singing the red flag.
Yeah,
like
the red flag's a lot better.
Yeah.
But I didn't vote for her. So you know, she happens to be the Queen of this country by an accident of birth, and it's my view.
But when she'll ask you for tea, are you going to say no?
I wouldn't be too bothered. If you asked me for tea, I'd probably go there. You live nearer.
Yeah, well, I had tea with her, and I was thoroughly
I
excited.
don't know how she can afford.
Dress.
I don't know how she can afford to invite me around for a cup of tea, because the bedroom tax on her house must be amazing.
We're going down three or four avenues at once. I'm going to stick to this one with Jeremy Corbyn. Yeah. Don't you think it would have just been better if he had just sung this? Because now he has agreed today that he will, in fact, be singing the national anthem.
Probably going to mind.
That's because the media's decided it for him.
You think so? You think
I
he's responding to media pressure?
Heartedly, you know, and a lovely moving song. Their media has said, he who wants to oust the Queen has now sung her song.
Look, I haven't heard him say he's going to sing it. I know there's been a report now.
A statement was issued by Transport House this morning. Yes.
Okay, what he actually said there, he would be completely respectful and do the right thing. If he's been told that to be the leader of the opposition, you are expected to do that, to sing and dance and hop on one foot at some point, and politicians want to agree that, then it's up to them. But for me, I saw nothing wrong. In fact, when I was looking, there was people behind him not singing uniform, that they may have been thinking about what the Battle of Britain meant.
Yeah,
and the Battle of Britain, remember, there were 17 different nationalities flying British for the Canadian and British Air Force.
You have a point.
So what about all those all the national anthems from Poland, from
You have a point. The media focus was on him, obviously, and how he behaved.
Yeah.
And it's possibly slightly strange today that we learn now that he will be kissing the Queen's hand because.
I wonder what you were going to say there.
no, the Queen's hand, because he has accepted the role of becoming a Privy Councillor, and in order to do that, he has to sign an oath and to take an oath and kiss the Queen's hand.
You've got to remember that a lot of our ceremonies and our traditions are the envy of the world, you know, and a lot of this people quite like, and it keeps us all, it's sort of a little discipline, and I don't think you should all knock it to pieces.
I don't think we are. So you're saying he should do this. He should sing
but
the
I mean,
anthem.
the fact is, yes,
do you mind if I mock it?
Yeah.
Because I think it's a complete waste of time in this day and age. If they're great for tourism, yeah, okay, I get it. You know, people want to come take pictures of them, but beyond that, what do they actually bring?
Well, if you've got no beer, would you stuff it back at her?
Yes.
You would?
I absolutely would.
Yeah, but if you're starting off as a new leader and you've been a backbencher and nobody's ever really heard much about you until recently, don't you think that it's a little bit controversial to take all these points of principle and alienate people towards you right at the start of your new political career?
But it's not alienating people, it's being who he is. Yeah. I mean, you have got, and I know I will ramble around because it's the same way I work. Yeah. You've got poor Kenny there becoming a lord after being the head of the head of TUC, the GMB trade union, and taking and saying I'm taking it on behalf of every trade union in the country. Well, I don't want my part of that. I care passionately about workers in this country who are getting a raw deal at the moment, by the way. And I know
we'll be coming on. We're coming on to that. I told you we would do that. We will.
But I just think everything I look at in life, it's the haves and the have-nots. And I'm sorry, the monarchy that we've got in this country and the amount of land they own and the disparity in wealth, to me, it doesn't sit well with me at all.
When you go back in history, a lot of it's so nasty. I agree on that score. But then on the other hand, she's there by birth. She took that solemn oath at the coronation, and she's taking it seriously. You've got to admire her. She's a worker.
I'm not actually going to knock her personally, because as an individual, I know she's been committed to this country from day one, and she's reigned for a long time.
Yeah.
And you do have a respect for another human being that's willing to do that. It's everything the monarchy stands for, though. And at a time when we've got people in this country queuing up at food banks, and then people in a three-bedroom house being told they're going to have payments cut because you've got an extra bedroom, and then you're told.
Can't they take an immigrant in? They can get around that one.
Is that your idea? Is that going to be your policy statement?
Well, it's only fill them up. Don't you reckon?
Do I reckon? I'm the interviewer. It's not my view that
Maybe
counts.
you've come up with a new policy that the Tory party might run with.
Just fill them up. You know, if you've got empty houses,
You
fill
can have
them
a
up.
badge with hug an immigrant on, and then.
Well, if you have to. I have to say, when I picked up my 3.5-year-old grandson and I thought of that little boy on the beach, I did get a bit moony for a moment before I came to my senses.
Yeah.
Right. There's a big difference, and when that 3-year-old little boy was seen on the beach, and a picture went around the world, Alan Kurdi, I think his name was. What the hypocrisy that got me was all the right-wing media have been calling people immigrants, migrants, all using this language that was a negative language, never using the word refugee, where primarily most of these people, I hate the phrase these people, but most of the people involved were refugees
And
trying
that's
to
only
flee.
part one. That's only part one, everybody. Did you notice that Sean talked about the country being mostly people who have or have not? Not quite sure what he means by that, or whether that's a very archaic view. I'll be putting that one to him when we return from Talk Solent after the break. See you in a couple of minutes. Bye-bye.
You're going to